Hello everybody, I'm Catriona Morten. I'm a sensory-motor psychotherapist, and today what I'd like to talk to you about is hypervigilance and why that can make it so difficult to concentrate and to focus on things. But before I jump into any of that, if you're enjoying these videos, then please give us a like, subscribe to our channel, because it really helps us get our message out to much more of you. So, hypervigilance. This is something that I would say all of my clients have at any given time. Some people are pretty much hypervigilant the whole time, and this applies to everybody, but in particular my clients who have a history of trauma, they've got really dysregulated nervous systems, and they're finding things difficult. At different times they can have varying degrees of hypervigilance. I'll tell you a little bit about what that can look like and what it can feel like. If you're used to being hypervigilant, you're maybe not going to notice that the volume's turned up a bit. And often when someone comes in to see me, or I'm doing a Zoom or a Skype call, I might kind of check it out a little bit and say, do you feel really present today? Do you have any sense of your body? I wonder if your hypervigilance is up at all. And often they'll say, no, it's fine, I'm absolutely fine. And then we can do little tests, especially because I'm there in front of them, whether it's in person or on a Zoom or Skype. And I'll say, okay, would you be able to take your gaze away from me up to there for 5 seconds? And they'll usually say, yeah, of course. And they try and do it for 5 seconds, and their eyes just keep flicking back to me. Not that I'm any kind of threat, but to these little traumatized parts, I'm a person and they need to be able to keep their eye on me. And that's the very essence of hypervigilance. It's like having a kind of lighthouse around your head. Your hearing will be really tuned in for things, and it's very difficult to keep your gaze on something because one, if it's a person, you need to keep it fixed in place, but peripheral vision is huge and taking in everything. Very often people are quite afraid to look away or afraid to keep their gaze on me. And again, it's not me, this will come up all the time when the hypervigilance is up with whoever they're with. And it makes it really, really difficult to be in the present moment, really focusing on what's going on right now, because your head, all your senses are constantly scanning for something else, a danger that's coming. Now, we develop this acute sense when we're growing up. So if we've grown up in an environment that's really unpredictable, things can just kick off with very little warning, or people have been very volatile, or there's been bouts of aggression and violence around, or even if it's just like mad chaos a lot of the time, then what we learn to do is second guess. For our own safety, our own survival, our own sense of having some idea of what's coming next, we develop our hypersenses for what's going on around us, so that if something's kicking off, we can get the first warning signs. Now, when we've had to grow up in an environment like that, then we have to do that a lot. Even when things are calm, in fact, especially often when things are calm, we need to be, really, really on super alert to see if we can hear anything, see anything, sense anything. People that are very, very hypervigilant have amazing senses of what's going on. They can read a room at the drop of a hat. They walk in and they can get a very good sense of what's going on. They also get a very good immediate assessment of someone, of what that person might want from them. And they're just tuned in generally on a super, super high level. I'm not hypervigilant, not unless things really get my nervous system going. And so it's quite easy to make me jump because I'm really, really relaxed, bodding around doing things, and then something happens and I'm like, woo, because I don't see it coming. Everything's just settled. But for a lot of my clients, that sense of being settled, being relaxed, when we're relaxed and when we're happy and when we're just feeling and sensing, then our hypervigilant parts aren't switched on and working. Now, when you've had to be like that, you're taking up an awful lot of your capacity for both thinking, concentrating. Children who live in a very volatile environment or a very violent household, they generally find it difficult to concentrate at school. They're the ones that fall behind, or they're the ones that cause trouble, because it's not okay to just sit and listen to the teacher, concentrate on what you're doing, put all your thinking capacity into this task. A lot of the people that I see have been very, very high functioning. They've been able to do almost everything, often to a very high degree. And then suddenly something happens and a lot of their childhood trauma, woof, it just comes up, and they can't cope with things the way that they used to. They're not as functional, they've got intrusive thoughts, all sorts of things, and it just emerges. For those people, they'll often say, I used to be able to read a book. I used to be able to, do craft things or paint or write, or I used to be able to do all those things, and now I just can't. And this can happen to all of us, but for my clients, it's really acute. Looking at a book, if they can actually read some words or some sentences, one, they won't have a clue what they've just read. The sense making, the meaning making, that's gone. They're just empty words on the page. Or they won't be able to sit and read a few sentences. They'll just get very, very agitated, really distracted, and have to get up and do something else. If you've enjoyed reading, it can be a huge loss. Even watching things on the television. Sometimes people report that they can't get to the end of a film, they can't get involved in these things that they used to enjoy doing. It makes working with the body equally difficult because you're asking your hypervigilance to switch off and bring your awareness in. And so it's very important that I learn with my clients their individual ways of how this is affecting them, because it's not just up here. We feel the whole thing in our body. We're getting the message from our body that we've got to be hyper, super alert and on guard the whole time. And that translates itself into, okay, keeping my senses super, super alert. So we have to find ways of gently being able to dial that down. This is a safety thing. It's a protective mechanism. We're designed to be able to do this as part of our survival system. But when we've had to grow up in that situation, it doesn't just switch itself off. It doesn't work like that. When we've had to develop it, then wherever we go, we maintain that. And even if it goes, then it can be switched on really, really quickly. And so we have to learn ways of being able to dial that down so we can be able to sense into our body. We can be able to notice things that are happening. And we're able to keep on track with things. And when I'm with someone and they're very hypervigilant, when we start to dial it down and they come back a bit more into the parasympathetic, I can see and feel everything settling. Their tone of voice will go down, their rate of speech will slow down, everything just settles. And it makes it much easier to think, to reflect on things, to notice things, to take things in. And it means that we're an awful lot more capable. The problem when people are just scanning for things is they're not seeing. So if I say to someone who's very hypervigilant, okay, do you want to have a look around the room? Do you want to be able to see that everything's safe? They'll do that and say, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I know it's fine. I know it's safe. When I ask them, when you're looking around, what did you see? They'll be like, no, nothing. And they're scanning, but they're not seeing anything. And so they're not taking anything in the present moment. Now, that can be a really good tool. It can be a really good resource. Okay, so you're scanning for danger, no danger there yet, but you're not getting any reassurance back. So that's when your curiosity is your best friend. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to look around and look at something. If it's something you like, look at it. Examine it. What are the shadows on it? What's it made of? What can I see? you know, all the reflections in it, the colours that are in it, the shapes. Take your curiosity and really look and see, because that's a present moment experience. And so often I will suggest, well, if you feel like that when you're at home, try playing some music that you're going to be able to listen to, that you like. If you can't have any kind of soothing music, if that's too big a jump down, then have something that just matches the kind of energy that you're in at the moment. And once you're able to kind of listen and tune into that, just bring it down a little bit. Listen to something that's just a little bit slower or softer. Graduate yourself. Use your senses that are on hyper super alert up here. Use them to help bring you down a little bit. Using smells are really good because that's a present moment experience. You know, if you're looking at something that you don't like, it's like, great, make use of that. Why don't you like it? What is it about it that's irritating? What is it about it that you like? Curiosity. What is it about this smell that I don't like? What does it make me do? And what is it about this smell that I really like? Using your senses to turn your curiosity on, to give you that present moment experience, that can really help bring your hypervigilance down. It's on full alert, looking for danger. We can bring it down, give ourselves some reassurance. No, it's fine, it's okay to come down a little bit. Often, I used to see this a lot when I was working in the NHS, in the CAMS team. A lot of children that were really hypervigilant and came from very difficult family environments, they were most likely to be the ones diagnosed with ADHD. Now, I'm not saying that ADHD isn't a thing. What I'm saying is it can look really similar to a very dysregulated nervous system, a hypervigilant child. If there's a lot of violence in the home, a moving target is harder to hit. People develop their coping mechanisms to match their environment, which is why everybody with anything like hypervigilance doesn't have the same presentation. Some people learn to go really invisible. Some people learn to avoid trouble by being very quiet, very invisible. They get really good at not being seen, not being noticed, not being heard. They can slow their breath down, they can go really, really quiet, they can learn their best sort of hiding places. Often hiding in plain sight is something that these people are really good at, because it's not good to be noticed. For others, it's not good to be still, because that makes you an easy target. And so those children, they just move around a lot, they fidget all the time. It's really difficult for them to sit and complete a task because their kind of get up and move thing comes on. People who are very hypervigilant find it extremely difficult to be in a yoga class and lie down on the floor, on your mat, with all these other people in the room. It just feels too unsafe and too disconcerting. And even if they manage it, they're not able to take in anything that's going on because they're on super high alert. So it can make it hard to sleep, it can make it hard to relax, it can make it very difficult to concentrate and keep your concentration on something. So when I'm working with someone and they will be doing something, sensing into the body, okay, so if we're going to just, for instance, say, let's follow our breath and see what it's like to try and follow our breath. I can often see someone's thoughts and head taking them off. And I'll say, did your head just take you out there? Yeah. And so sometimes we need something that's a bit more kind of practical, that we can feel, that we can do, that's a bit more accessible. And so that can be things like, can you squeeze the muscles in your arms? Can you do that a few times? Can you feel yourself pulsing those muscles in your arms? Can you do the same with your leg muscles? Can you feel yourself working them? When it's something that you're actively having to do, it makes it easier. For some people, I know that the head will jump out, so we just stay with something for a little moment. So if we're kind of waking things up with the body, it's like when you stroke up your arm, can you feel that? Oh yeah, I can feel that. But then their attention will take them somewhere else. So we know we just mix it up a little bit to keep the interest going and to not give the hypervigilant part of us a real kind of, oh, this is unsafe. We will go from different parts of the body and maybe put in a little routine. Can you squeeze this leg? Can you squeeze this arm? Can you do the other diagonals? Can you tap out a little tune with your feet? Something that keeps our interest, and it's not just sitting still and, you know, sensing into your breath. And that's too difficult. That's way too difficult and too alarming for the hypervigilant part. We want to make it easy and accessible without alerting it and without alarming it. And so that, you know, we can really acknowledge, oh yeah, I did that and it was okay. And then I can take my awareness to the room, look around, focus on something, take my interest into that thing, so that everything is just slowly settling and coming back down. So what we're aiming to do is build up our resilience, build up our consistency. When things have been really volatile and violent, then it's not consistent. And so if you can have a little routine that you do that's consistent, that it takes your interest, there's a repetitive element to it, it becomes familiar. That can be very, very good as a kind of retraining for these hypervigilant parts. So I hope that helps you make some sense over what's happening. We will all get hypervigilant at some points. For my clients, if they've been triggered, that can last days. It can last over a week, that they're just on hyper alert. It's really exhausting as well. So we need to be able to bring it down. So if you can, you know, test your hypervigilance out. Notice what it's like to try and just sit still. To try and keep your gaze on something and not take it away for 10 seconds. If it starts to stir things up for you or it becomes really difficult, you may be a wee bit hypervigilant. Try some of these things to help you be able to get some routines, get some familiarity going in your body, bring your hypervigilance down and down into your parasympathetic. Things will become a lot easier and calmer from that place. So if you found this video useful, interesting, helps make sense of things, then please give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Okay, bye.